Welcome back to another episode of the Neurodivergent Struggles podcast. We clap in the beginning.
Yes. We're back.
I do that on my live stream, so I'm bringing it to the podcast. We're back here with my lovely co-host, Emily.
Here I am.
Today we're talking about masking, which is something that a lot of neurodivergent individuals do. I think everybody masks in some capacity, but for those of us who are on the spectrum, and for those of us who have ADHD, this is something that we almost always do. And I'll pass over to Emily, and she'll give us her thoughts on masking.
Oh, yeah.
When you hear the term masking, what are your first initial thoughts?
Well, I think it's important to kind of explain what masking is for people at home that don't know what that is. So masking is a term that's used for a lot of neurodivergent people. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It's when you kind of put on this fake mask to try to assimilate to your neurotypical people, your neurotypical friends or family members or just really anybody. It's you put on that mask, and that's something that we kind of have the habit of taking on and off when put in certain situations. There are people that are really, really good at masking. I think actually in a question we had a couple weeks ago, there was a lady who was she got late diagnosed with autism. She was neurodivergent, or maybe had ADHD. And she said that she wasn't able to mask anymore because of some trauma that she went through. And so her full kind of autistic self came out, and her husband was really struggling with. Do you remember this?
I vaguely remember it.
Yeah,
I do.
Yeah, her husband was really struggling with being around her unmasked self.
Yeah.
Which is really, really difficult. So masking essentially you're putting on this kind of fake persona that you think is more neurotypical, and then when you get home, when you're not around people, you take it off and you're able to be your true self. I don't know about for you, but for me, masking has looked different throughout the years. As you all know, I got super late diagnosed with autism, so like last year. But I always knew that there was something a little off about me, especially when it came to social interactions. So I know, now that I think back on it too, in high school and middle school, even throughout college, I would mask by pretty much trying to take on the personality of the people around me, but not doing a very good job of it, if that makes sense. So it always seemed forced, which it was. That was my way of masking. And if it didn't work, then I would just have to go silent, because if I didn't want anybody to see my true self, because if I showed my true self, people wouldn't like me or wouldn't accept me in the group. Now I feel like I've been able to kind of drop that mask, be who I am, but also as I've gotten older, be able to fine tune kind of where I use that mask and where I don't. In professional settings, I'm really good at putting on that professional mask. But around my friends, I've learned that it's okay to drop it a little bit or drop it completely, and you just have to be aware of social cues and social interactions and stuff like that. So it's not like I'm dropping it fully, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, when you say drop it, I'm thinking of like in the South, when people say drop it, like drop it low, like they're dancing. So yeah, that's just okay to mind. But it does make sense.
There's Kojo's ADHD. Thank you.
Yeah, that's why I was laughing. I was like, oh, she about to drop it low.
Yeah, we're about to drop it low this morning.
No, I'm not dropping anything low.
Oh, you're not? Okay,
nah,
I'm not either. Okay.
Respectfully
Not dropping it low today.
It does make sense. It makes sense. Everything that you said makes sense. And there's a reason why we watched The Mask by Jim Carrey. That's my favorite Jim Carrey movie. I think that movie, first of all, I think that Jim Carrey is neurodivergent for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And that movie does a great job of illustrating what masking looks like. You take this mask, and of course, like, metaphorically speaking, we don't have like an actual green mask that we can put on our faces, but we do have a mask I think all of us have a mask that we can use that gives us superpowers in a sense. The mask is a version of you that knows what time to laugh mid-conversation. It knows what to say. You study people. You know how to interject at the right time. Yeah. And it's not really authentic to you. But when you take off the mask, you have to do life as you, and you were punished for doing life as you. So you learn to suppress yourself in favor of this masked version that's getting all the social benefits. And at some point, you can't go with the mask anymore. Normally, that's when you get to being an adult. And whether it's trauma, like the question that we got, or whether you just want to, be closer to yourself, we all do reach that point where the mask isn't as effective. But yeah, I definitely still use my mask because there are times when, you have to kind of fake the funk, and I hate doing it. But I don't think it's smart to fully unmask, because if you fully unmask, you will scare people.
Yeah, I can kind of agree. I think it really just depends on the situation that you're in, the people that you're around. Because something that I've learned, I feel like, and we've talked about this before on the podcast, but I feel like over the last year or so, I've learned that dropping my mask, being truly who I am, is more beneficial in making friendships and connections with people than having this fake mask. We've talked about how, like, a lot of neurodivergent people, when they're in conversations, or at least I did this and I didn't know that I was doing this, but if you said, oh, I went to Italy last year, I would immediately say, oh my gosh, well, I'm Italian and I went to Italy and I did all this stuff, just because I want to connect with you. Mm-hmm. But it comes off as kind of braggy and like I'm trying to make it about me. Right. That's just the mask trying to connect with the person next to me. But in reality, it's not doing you any good in the conversation. Mm-hmm. So once I learned, and I'm still working on it. I'm a work in progress for sure. But I realized once I dropped that and just like was me and just like actually listened to people and gave my input whenever I deemed necessary, even if it wasn't at all, that's better than making yourself out to be this kind of self-indulgent person.
Right, but I still do believe that masking in some capacity is necessary sometimes, depending on what you have going on. Especially if people have never seen you, like if people met you when you were masking, then it's going to be a shock to them to see you unmasked. And not that that really matters to you, but there are times when you mask. For example, if you go into a new job, right, and you really need this job, and they're making jokes that aren't funny, are you going to sit there and not laugh because you want to be the realest version of you? Yeah. Ideally, we'd like to be the realest version of ourselves at all times, but I don't think that that's practical, because there are people who ask me questions all the time and they say they want to unmask and they want to be true to themselves. I also remind them that you have masked for your whole life. So if you're 34 years old, you've been masking for 3 decades. You can't just drop the mask all of a sudden. Yeah. It's a lifelong journey to become closer to yourself. Yeah. Kind of like when you talk to an older person. I don't want to say an elderly, but an older person. Yeah. People in their 60s, 70s, and 80s, they don't really care what you think about. Like, they say exactly what's in their mind. Yeah. And they just don't care. Like, it is what it is. Yeah. And I think that we are on a journey where we're fighting to get closer and closer to that. But the mask sometimes is needed, because if you fully unmask, then like the pain from fully unmasking can send you into a depression. Yeah. And now you're unable to connect with people. Now your skills are regressing. Yeah. Now you're feeling this burnout. So it is important to get closer to yourself. I always tell people that whenever you have a chance to be yourself in small doses, to take those chances, to be yourself, so that way you can still feel like you're connected to who you are. Because if you're masking all the time as an adult, that's when you can also be burnt out. It's almost like if you mask all the time, it's sad. You feel sad. And if you don't mask at all, then you feel sad. So I think the question is, how much should we be masking?
Yeah. No, I think that's a great point. I think it's a per person situation too. Like, you know, I am on the spectrum, but I'm extremely high functioning. And so I think it's a little bit, I'm having an easier time taking off that mask, doing the work to, I guess, better who I truly am, to be able to have more open conversations. And it also just, it's something as simple for me as, like, say I'm in a big group setting, and usually this is when the mask comes on, is for me anyways, like the I just had a stroke. To make these, like, in these big group settings is when I have the hardest time. And so I put this mask on. I've found that if I'm not going to put the mask on, I'm going to try to be truly myself, which is fine. And people have actually been more open to me as a person when I don't have this mask on. But that also means that I'm working a lot harder to keep this mask off socially. That means after 3 hours of kind of sitting there and seeing a lot of people, I need to go sit in another room in the quiet on my phone, just decompressing. Like,
you have to mask with your friends, or?
No, it's like more in bigger group settings. Maybe I don't know everybody.
Okay, like friends of friends.
Yeah, friends of friends. If I know everybody, you know, I feel like I don't need to mask as much. But I still am working on those kind of social cues and how to have real meaningful conversations and asking people follow-up questions about what they just said and not making it about me. So I guess that is partially masking. There's a very fine line with masking. You know, I think this could be considered masking, that could be considered masking, or this could be you taking it off. And, you know, so it's kind of tricky to place that. But I do think that if I take off that mask, I'm working a lot harder. I'm more, you know, listening into the conversations more, because I don't want to say the wrong thing, because I am being truly myself now. I've taken off that mask. So working a lot harder. So that also means that I need to go sit in the room and decompress and get away from the noise. I literally did that. My boyfriend was out of town for Valentine's Day. Boo. Loser. No. So he was out of town for Valentine's Day. So I had a Galentine's Day with me and my girlfriends, and a lot of them have kids now. So at one point I was like, hey, can I go like lay down in your bedroom for like 30 minutes? She's like, yeah, take as much time as you need. And I was like, perfect. Cause I needed to get away from all like the noise of the kids. And I'm like meeting some of her girlfriends I've never met. And I'm like really having to intently listen to the conversations and make sure I'm not saying anything wrong. It's really exhausting for me. So I definitely took like 30 to 45 minutes just laying in her bed while, like, you know, the kids were screaming in the other room. I definitely needed to do that. But yeah.
It helps to have, you know, friends that you can be yourself with. Yeah. And that's why I spent a lot of time with my childhood friends. I'm not sure how long you've known those people.
Friends? Just recently.
Just recently?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
A little over a year.
Oh.
When I first moved here, yeah.
I love hanging out with, you know, the boys that I grew up with, because they have context as to what I'm saying. So if I'm making jokes that other people may deem inappropriate, or if I'm just speaking from the heart, there's less that needs to be explained, because they already understand who I am.
Yeah.
And I found myself gravitating towards, like I said, the people that I grew up with, and I'm making more of an intentional effort to hang out with them. Those boys are in Atlanta. All of them are in Georgia, and I'm in California. So actually texting the group chat and saying, all right, guys, we need to get up with each other at least once a year, hopefully more than that. But whenever I'm on that side of the country, just catching up with them. I remember I was flying from Atlanta to wherever I was headed to, but I took my dad to a Hawks game. I was with my sisters and my brothers and my nephews. So we're at the Hawks game, and I have to leave like in the third quarter to catch my flight. And my homeboy David stays real close to the stadium. So I let him know. We met up at a gas station. We talked for like 10, 15 minutes, left, headed off to the airport. I caught my flight. I was the last one. I like to play it close. I need to stop doing that.
He's the worst with that.
But hanging out with people like that where you can be your full self, that's healing to the soul. So even though I'll be in meetings sometimes with people, or I'm meeting somebody for the very first time in a situation where they don't have full context on who I am, I can't really joke like I want to joke. I can't say things that I want to say.
I see.
So being around people that I can be myself, that is healing to the soul. Because when you feel like you have to mask every single area of your life, that's when the depression kicks in. But I know it's tough for a lot of people on the spectrum and people who have ADHD to compartmentalize and to know that, okay, here's a situation where we may mask a little bit, and that's fine because we need this job, but I'm hanging out with my friends here, and I don't want to have to put on a mask to be with you.
Yeah.
So it's tough because if you really want to be the realest version of yourself at all times, then it could, like I said, lead to a lot of pain. Is just knowing where you can be yourself at.
Yeah.
And dropping as many things that you don't have to do where you got a mask. Is one of the reasons why I like to do stand-up comedy as well.
Yeah.
Like, you just say what's on your mind. And I believe that comedians are the last people that can actually speak from the heart. In today's Me Too, PC culture, and like we're super woke. And I'm not saying anything is wrong with that for the people who feel like that. But being able to speak your mind is such a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I mean, being able to be fully transparent about who you are is always great. And people might not be open to hearing those things.
For sure.
And like you might, rub some people the wrong way, and that's okay. As long as you're not hurting anybody. I really think, I don't know how it's been for you, but I think my boyfriend and probably my best friend, outside of my family, obviously, are really the only two people that I can just completely drop the mask and not even care if I
say
people. Not even care in the slightest what I say. If I say something wrong, they're not going to judge me.
Your parents, your sister?
I mean, I guess with them.
Okay.
But there's certain things and certain, I don't know. It's just maybe it's because my family is in Ohio and in New York, and so I don't see them that often. I'll talk to them on the phone or whatever, but I'm the only person in my family that lives on the West Coast. So my boyfriend and my best friend have very quickly become my family out here, you know? And so those are the people that I can fully drop my mask, and I couldn't care less if I say something wrong, or because I know that they're not going to judge me because they're, my boyfriend especially too. He gets to drop that professional mask that he has to wear all day.
That's good.
All day, every day. He has this persona on social media, and then we get to snuggle up on the couch together and just be stupid. And that feels the best. And that's why we love spending time with each other, because we can just fully get into it and fully drop it.
That's great. Both of y'all dropping it?
Oh, yeah. We're dropping it like it's hot. Together.
No, I think that's great that you have people that you can be yourself around, because especially being in the entertainment industry and being an actor and taking on different roles and potentially having an identity crisis based off of whatever you're doing, it's helpful to have people that you can just drop the mask and be who you are and say what you want to say. Obviously, you have to be mindful of, saying things that are rude or condescending. We do that with anybody, but having people that you can actually be yourself with is key. And I definitely get what you're saying when you talk about your parents and your sister, and how I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but it looks as if you're saying that you can't fully be yourself around them sometimes. Because I get that.
Yeah.
And a lot of neurodivergence, I'm sure, if you ask them, they'll probably say, my parents don't know who I am.
Yeah.
Like, do your parents actually know who you are? Because mine don't really know, like, exactly who I am. Like they know what they, their idea of Kojo, but to know, like, exactly who I am to my core, I'm not sure if they know that.
I don't think my parents really do. Maybe my sister, but even then, not really. I mean, again, we're talking on the phone. Most of the time that we're talking, it's about my career. It's not about really anything else in my life. I don't think I've had a conversation with my mom about anything that hasn't been my career or my relationship in weeks.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, that I get it. Those things are important. And obviously my parents want me to succeed as an actor, but yeah, I think you're right. I don't really think, and then of course, I feel like I'm putting on that mask when I talk to them, just being like, yeah, very matter of fact, this is what's happening in my career. This is what's going on. This is what I need. This is what I don't need. End of conversation. It's like that professional mask of like very matter of fact. Because I feel like the times that I have dropped that mask and been like, yeah, I'm really sad, or yeah, I like, I'm having these struggles, and I'm whatever, have been the times when my parents have like freaked out and been like, oh my God, you're gonna die, and blah 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 blah, and we're across the country and we can't help you, and I'm like, I'm just telling you that I'm sad.
Yeah, this is exactly what I want to talk about.
Ooh,
because
you're welcome.
I can relate to you on that.
Yeah.
Because people will say, how are you feeling? Like, how are you? Even as a mental health professional, sometimes I can't tell my family that I'm depressed or I'm low because they're going to freak out. It's going to be a big deal. And they don't know that being depressed just means, oh, I'm having a hard time getting out of bed and my sleep cycle is upside down and I'm in a funk. I'm about 50 to 60% as effective as I normally am. And I'm going to ride this wave and I'm going to get out of it. But in their head, they're thinking, oh my goodness, is this person depressed? Are they going to hurt them? Like,
yeah, they need to go to a mental hospital.
Right. They're not able to compartmentalize and understand that this is a feeling. It's an emotion. It could be a state of depression, but it's going to blow over. But sometimes you don't want to actually tell your family what's going on because they'll freak out or they won't understand where you're coming from.
Right.
And I definitely get that because your parents are just like everybody else. And sometimes they, their idea of who you are will be, higher than who you actually are. Like they really believe that you're this person and it's hard for them to see you any other way.
Yeah.
My parents don't really see like Dr. Kojo the brand. All they know is like psychiatry. Like maybe they're immigrant parents, but they don't understand the comedy, the social media. And my mom's, mind, she's always saying like, why don't you do more psychiatry? Why don't you make more money? Why don't you see more patients?
Mom.
But she doesn't get it. And I always ask her when she came to LA and you met her, I kept asking her, I said, Mom, what's your dream? What's your dream? And a lot of us as neurodivergents want to follow our passion. And we have to understand that, okay, we still have to make money. You got to make money. You got to live. That's very important, especially for me, because if my lifestyle dips below a certain level, then like I'm not going to be happy.
Oh, yeah.
But it's important for me to pursue what fills my soul. And, like it doesn't register to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So sometimes if you're talking to someone like your mom, you just kind of give them what they want to hear, because explaining to them who you actually are will take up more energy, and sometimes that it won't even connect.
Yeah, it's not going to come across correctly. I don't know if it's like a generational thing, because mental health and autism and stuff like that really, it just became a normal thing to talk about.
It is generational in some capacity,
Say that again, sorry.
I think it is generational in some capacity.
Yeah. Our parents didn't, even have an idea of what autism was until maybe in the 90s. But again, and I've said this in almost every single episode, it wasn't little girls weren't being focused on. It was all little boys in school who couldn't sit still. They were getting diagnosed with ADHD. And then there was, before it was just autism, there was Asperger's. And now that's just considered autism, just on the spectrum. But, none of that stuff was really talked about. People weren't going to therapy as much as they're going to therapy now. Now it's like, oh, you could meet anybody. You're like, oh, how do you like therapy? They're like, oh, I love it.
Right.
Like everybody's in therapy now. I think our parents' generation should be in therapy 100%. I don't know.
No, for sure. And our parents' generation, a lot of them have undiagnosed autism and ADHD and anxiety because we're getting these things from somewhere. So
making sure to hit all of the cameras so that if my parents are watching this, they can see how intently.
It'd be helpful for them to do the work or learn more about themselves. Sometimes you'll have parents who are also on the spectrum, who also have ADHD, who will be talking to their kids who have these mental health conditions, but their kids are having a hard time connecting with them because the kids are aware of their neurodivergence and the parents are undiagnosed. Because I know my parents have something, but they refuse to seek professional services because they don't want that label.
Yeah.
So as long as you don't go to the doctor, it's almost as if you don't have autism or ADHD or anxiety, even though you have some of these things, if not maybe all, but their unwillingness to seek professional help makes them happy in a sense.
Oh, yeah.
So when I talk to my parents, there's a barrier on like how much I can get through to them.
Yeah.
Because if I tell them, oh, well, I think I'm on a spectrum, I think I'm going to get assessed, in their mind, they'll say, like, what's the whole point of that? What's that going to do? And, they're in the healthcare field.
Yeah.
That's a funny thing about it.
It's like they, what they don't know can't hurt them, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's so clear. The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. There's a reason we got this. This just doesn't come out of nowhere, okay? But yeah, I think the world would be a better place if all of our parents got diagnosed with what they have.
But
that was a little bit of a tangent. Sorry, guys.
No, I think it's appropriate to talk about because knowing that your parents only have a certain capacity to understand you is liberating. Because if you're chasing that validation from a parent, kind of like how it was when you're a kid, and you really want them to understand who you are, that's going to make you very sad because they only have a limited capacity on how much they can understand you because they don't understand themselves.
Yeah.
But as long as they just shove everything to the side and they don't look in the mirror or try and understand who they are and what they have, they won't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's keeping you in pain. You trying to explain to your parents, oh, this is who I am. I have this. This is what I struggle with.
Yep.
So a lot of neurodivergents just mask around their parents. Like I'm talking to a lot of my friends and I'm seeing that their parents have no idea who they are as well.
Yeah. I mean, I find myself definitely masking around my parents. And, if my mom especially texts me about this, texts me about that, like all throughout the day. And I'm like, like I have it under control. I'm dealing with it. I'm doing everything in my power to make it as an actor. And I just have to be like very to the point. Yes, no answers. I'm doing it, period. I'm getting it done, period. Like I have to just almost like it's a professional setting of like, yes, I'm doing that. No,
that's very exhausting.
And it's super exhausting that I can't just my mom just can't leave it alone sometimes. I'm like it makes me anxious just thinking about it. I'm like, shit.
Do your parents ever tell you to come to them with anything and they'll say, oh, come to me with whatever you're going through, don't go through anything alone, but then you tell them what's going on and then they freak out or they don't understand what you're saying?
Yeah, my mom, I think, acts like that more. My dad is usually pretty open to me telling him what's going on. But my dad also, if I don't talk to my dad for a couple of days, he never takes offense to me doing that. He just knows I'm busy or I just need some alone time. I don't want to be on my phone texting people. I even did that last week because I got really in a rut about not having booked anything, and I'm doing 1 million auditions a day, and it's mentally exhausting. And I was really leaning on my boyfriend for the support because he's here, he's physically in Los Angeles. And so I can do that. But that also means that, like, I don't want to have to go through that same conversation 15 times with different people. So, like, I'm just going to kind of take a step away from the responses and, like, kind of ignore all of the questions from my mom. But then that comes off as, like, oh, my God, she's having a mental breakdown. She's blah, 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 blah. She's, you know, doing all of these bad things. And I'm like, no, I'm just getting through it. Mm-hmm. Like, I just don't feel like explaining this 15 times over.
Yeah.
So my dad doesn't take offense if I do that, but my mom definitely is, like, more so the one that's, like, she starts to freak out. She starts to think that I'm self-sabotaging if I don't call her every day, or she's like, I never hear from you, and I'm like, Mom, I'm getting it done. Like, I have my routine that I do every single day. It's not changing. You know, I'm not out in a field under, like, you know, like, I didn't drink myself to death, and, you know, I don't know. I think she just always thinks the worst has happened to me if I take a step back.
That's how my mom operates a lot of the time. And I'm not sure, I don't want to go off too much on a tangent, but this whole thing where you have the emotionally chaotic mother and the avoidant father, I see that dynamic a lot. And I think that I would characterize my parents that way. And I've seen that in my relationships. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm becoming my dad, where I'm kind of avoidant and I'm attached to people who are chaotic. It's funny how all that stuff kind of loops in and connects as you get older. You start to realize, oh my goodness, like, I'm taking on my parents' habits. And this is why maybe it's hard to connect with my mom. And when you understand those things, then you're not as hard on yourself, or you won't really want your mom to, like, you won't really crave that, feeling of her understanding who you are. Because you just know that it takes so much out of you to explain. Because telling your mom or telling anybody who doesn't understand you what's going on, that takes effort. But then you knowing that they don't understand what you're saying makes you over-explain. But then the over-explanation doesn't really get them closer to understanding who you are. So then you're like, all right, what's the whole point of doing all this? I'm just going to tire myself out unnecessarily.
Yeah. I'm going to emotionally exhaust myself. I already have like the emotional capacity of somebody who's, a lower emotional capacity than somebody who's neurotypical. I feel like I feel emotions a lot more and a lot harder than most people. And so I'm not taking, like, that little emotional reserve that I have and blowing through all of that on a conversation I feel like I don't need to have.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
How old were you when you stopped wanting that understanding from your parents? Remember how old you were?
I think it's very recent.
Okay, wow.
Over the last year or so.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I've changed emotionally a lot over the last year. That's just being, one, for the first time in my life, being in a super healthy relationship, to where I feel like I can lean on my boyfriend for a lot of things. And, I am getting older, too. I'm 28 years old. I know, it's so surprising. But I am 28 years old, so I just, I don't want to be that person that's, like, still really emotionally leaning on my parents, even though they would absolutely help me. But there's only so much they could do living in Ohio, and I live in California. And also having been diagnosed with autism about a year ago, or maybe a little bit less than a year ago, but fairly recently, I feel like I look at my emotions differently now. And I can also say to myself, hey, I don't want to deal with that pressure that sometimes my parents put on me, and I don't have to.
Yeah.
There's no rule book saying that you have to listen to your parents all the time, especially when you're almost 30. So once I realized that and I started looking at my emotions differently, I started working through my emotions differently, not being, not pushing them down and then You know, going out with my friends on the weekend and drinking a bunch just to like feel normal. You know, now I'm actually working through my emotions with a therapist and on Wellbutrin, which we love. And, you know, that has helped a ton too, to be like, you don't have to. Like, you know, there's not like a book that's like, oh, you must talk to your mom once a day. Like, you don't have to.
Yeah.
And once I realized that, it's made things a lot easier. And I think I've grown emotionally as a person a lot since I realized that.
Right. And you also mentioned having a friend that you don't have to mask around. I think that's very underrated.
Oh, yeah.
A friend that you don't have to mask around. Yeah. I even prefer that to somebody that I'm dating, because the person that I'm dating, our relationship is contingent upon the fact that, you know, we stay loyal to each other. We do this, we do that. I pay attention to you. There's so much has to go into it. But having a friend who doesn't have to be around you, they don't have to listen to what you're saying.
Yeah.
A friend who still decides to be with you, especially friends that you've had for a long time.
Yeah.
That's priceless.
Yep.
I'm really understanding the value of a friend. If you have one good friend,
sorry.
Bless you. Bless you.
Sorry, it's raining outside for the first time. It's like kicking up all the pollen in the air. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
You Gucci. You good, twin? But having a friend that you don't have to mask around is so powerful.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. And I'm really realizing that it takes work.
Yeah.
To keep these friendships alive and to see your friend. Because have you ever been in a situation where you've been going through it and you've been feeling misunderstood, but then you talk to a friend that you haven't spoken to in a while, and you're on the phone for a couple of hours, and afterwards you feel so much better?
Not really. Not really. No.
I looked at you and I was like, I don't think she has that friend.
No.
Respect.
Yeah.
Respect.
And that's just because I do have friends, or I guess one good friend in New York still, because I lived there for so long. And I'll talk to her over text every once in a while. But other than that, like, I'm not friends with anybody that I went to high school with. I'm not friends with anybody really that I went to college with either.
Oh, wow.
I'm like acquaintances with a lot of them. Like, I see them on Instagram and like I'll comment on their stuff, but I'm not actively hanging out with them or, you know, working on a relationship with them. And when the idea that I might have autism kind of came up, and also my issues with communicating and how
Respect.
I was having a hard time having conversations, and I didn't realize that I was doing this, and it was coming off as rude and like it was about me, you know, that whole thing. I looked back in my life and I was like, oh my God, I think it's been my whole life. And I think that's why I've really had a hard time keeping like long-term friendships. And so, no, I don't really relate to that at all, because I'm like, yeah, there's like one friend from college, I guess, that I talk to who lives in New York. But other than that, like, just me and my best friend who now lives we met in New York, and now we both live in Los Angeles together, which is great.
That's awesome.
It's just me and my best friend and my boyfriend, and I have a couple of friends here in LA, of course, but those long-term friendships, I don't really, other than one other person, I'm like, yeah, no.
I think that's something that a lot of autistic people can relate to, not having a lot of friends or maintaining friendships. It's so hard to maintain a friendship. It takes effort and time and energy, and also a willingness to communicate on both sides. They have to want to talk to you. Yeah. And you have to want to talk to them. You have to find time to talk to them. Then they're busy living their life, and you're busy living your life. Yeah. There's a lot that's going on all at once.
Yeah. I think for me too, I'm always the type of person that's like, wow, I haven't talked to that person in a long time. Maybe I should reach out to them. But then that little voice in my head goes, well, they have a phone. They could have reached out to you, and they didn't. Okay, sorry, guys. We are having some technical difficulties here. So if this episode seems a little broken up, that is why. But we wanted to get into our Facebook posts and our question for this week. How do you feel about that, Kojo?
I feel good. We know we had a little bit of a alarm situation, but you know, we're able to thug it out. You know,
of course.
Type shit.
Okay. So do you want me to pick just one of these?
Well, we can read both of the text posts.
Yep. So ADHD is basically autism, but you'll tolerate chaos as long as it was your idea. Wait, this is exactly what I wanted to talk about too. This is exactly, I was like, we should do a whole episode on
Talk about it then, twin.
I'm about to talk my shit right now. Okay, so this is so funny because the alarm just went off. The fire alarm just went off in this building twice or 3 times now.
3 times, yeah.
I was sitting here like this, having to disassociate because I just hate loud noises like that. But then I was in the same vein about to talk about how I go to raves. Like I'm around sensory overload for like 8 hours at a time at a music festival. Loud music and lasers and people everywhere. And I love that. I love it. I absolutely, because it's my idea to go there. And I love it. But that fire alarm, that's like not even as loud as one main stage at EDC.
Yeah.
And that really bothered me. That's really funny. That just happened.
No, I think you said it perfectly, because the fire alarm wasn't your noise.
Yeah.
It wasn't your idea.
Yeah.
And it came out of nowhere.
Yep.
So it's a nuisance. It's, unprovoked. It's offensive that this sound has come into your ecosystem, as opposed to you driving, going to a rave, and inviting that noise to yourself.
Yep.
Yep.
100%.
Facts.
If there's any other autistic or people with ADHD that also go to raves, we do exist. We will fight through.
I'm sure a lot.
Well, it's like raving is also, maybe we do a whole episode about this, but raving is a place where people get to just like stim out in the open and just like completely be themselves.
Oh, okay. Wow. I didn't even think about that.
Oh, we should do a full episode about it.
All right.
Maybe we get my boyfriend to join in too.
Oh, is he a raver?
He's a DJ.
Are DJs ravers?
Well, he makes the music for ravers.
But can you DJ and rave at the same time?
Like after he's done performing, he'll like come.
Okay.
We'll like go out into the crowd, and sometimes we'll like cover him up so a million people don't stop him to say hi. But yeah, like we'll go out into the crowd. We'll have fun for a little bit.
I wasn't sure how much focus it takes to DJ and then also to rave.
Oh yeah, well he's medicated. He's on Vyvanse, so he can focus during his performances and stuff. But yeah, but he's also the type of person where he gets more overwhelmed. Like when it's not the performance, if we do go out into the crowd and like try to rave for a little bit, it's like a couple, like maybe 2 hours at most. But like the whole idea with all of the people, he gets more overwhelmed, where I'm like, I want to do it, I'm gonna dance, I'm gonna go party, you know I do all that stuff. But that would be a really interesting topic to talk about, just like a whole episode.
No, I think so. Sensory overload and everything.
Yeah.
You say he want to be down for it?
I don't know. I'll talk to him today.
Okay.
We'll see if he's down.
Right.
But it'd be super interesting.
Facts. Let me know.
Okay. All right. And the second post is the neurodivergent experiences internal hyperactivity, external masking, and years of wondering why life feels harder than it looks. That's so real.
Yeah. It's unfortunately the reality for a lot of us, life feeling harder than it should be. And sometimes you have awareness of the fact that life is not as difficult for other people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at us trying to focus through that noise. Like we hear the siren, we're like,
No, we heard this. Well,
the sirens in the
worried
background.
I was like, the siren's going to come towards us. Because like what happened if there's a fire in the other side of the building we don't know about?
Well, we've lived good lives.
We've lived good lives, is what he said.
But, obviously we're not ready to cap it off. But
yet. Come on now.
We've lived life.
We've lived life.
Yeah. But, I mean, back to the text post, that's the unfortunate reality for a lot of us, feeling misunderstood and life being harder than it is for most. And, I mean, that's how it was for me as a kid. I had to reread lines multiple times. My homework would take forever to get done. It would bleed into the weekend.
Yeah.
And just always feeling like you're behind on things.
Yeah.
Insomnia. So the older you get, as you know about these things and as you learn yourself, you try and mitigate by putting a system together.
Yeah.
System. Kind of like how I got to fly out tonight and I want to go do the salsa class, but I know how hard it is to rearrange your sleeping schedule. So I'll probably call it a night early.
Yeah.
Get to the airport on time because I know myself. One night of poor sleep could throw you off for a week and a half to 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
So
for sure.
We're getting older.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's move on.
Yeah, let's get to the question.
Our question. Hey, love your content and is one of the things that makes me feel seen as a person with ADHD. You clearly have a lot of knowledge and I guess it meant to say have a lot of knowledge on it. And I was wondering if you have any tips on how to handle it all. I'm a student and the mix of both makes it so hard and I don't know where to look for help anymore. ADHD things don't work for me. Autistic things don't work for me. Neurotypical things absolutely do not work for me. So I'm desperate for any ideas.
Okay, so the person has autism and ADHD and they're looking for tips on how to handle everything and they are a student, right? Mm-hmm. So the first thing I would say is stop listening to advice that is made for neurotypical people, because if you're told to be consistent every single day, if people tell you to do things the way that they do things, if people try and fit you into a box, then it's going to be difficult for you to get anything done. As somebody who has autism and ADHD, you have two different operating systems in your brain at the same time. You have one side that wants chaos, another side wants routine and structure. And honoring both sides and understanding that you are one person who could have competing needs, I think is going to be very crucial for you to know these things about yourself. So don't beat yourself up when you make up a plan and you can't follow it, because that'll happen to me as well, where I'll make a plan and then I can't follow it. And instead of making more plans, I'll stop planning because I can't trust myself to follow the plan that I made. Yeah. So even after you mess up, you have to get back up again, work on your relationship with shame or rejection. Don't beat yourself up for things that you can't do. And congratulate yourself for all of the small wins: waking up on time, making your bed, brushing your teeth, taking a shower. These are all things that should be celebrated. So be easy on yourself. Stop listening to advice made for neurotypical people and work on your relationship with shame and rejection.
I think that's really, really good advice. I think it's also important to note, if you can, as in if you can afford it, if you have access to these things, therapy does, it's, autism and ADHD are things that you can fix. You're going to have it. But talking to a therapist, talking to a psychiatrist, really, they can help you the most. I've seen a lot of improvement in myself since I started with a therapist. And they can give you really, really great advice, especially if they are specialized in autism and ADHD. Yeah. So if you can, there's no shame to seeking outside help and professional help, and I think it's super, super valuable. And it might also be a situation, we talk about this a lot on the podcast, but I think it's important to note that medication is there to help you, and if that's something that you have access to, there's, again, no shame in a little 5 milligrams of Adderall or a little Vyvanse or a little Wellbutrin or whatever you need. I think that it can make a world of a difference if you have access to those things. So, yeah. But if you don't, like Kojo said, really focus on, if you make a mistake, that's okay, but celebrate the small things in your life that you're doing correctly, and be okay with rejection and maybe not, having the best conversations with people. Be okay with those things that are you. Yeah.
I think you said that perfectly. Yeah. I think you said that perfectly. And that brings this episode to a wrap. Thank you so much for your attention.